Is becoming a truck driver in 2021 still a solid career choice? Let's get into it. So I've done videos on this subject in the past, whether I feel like it's worth it to become a truck driver right now. But when I did those videos in the past, I was still a driver for someone else. I just bought my own truck just a few months ago, April 2021, 5 years after I got my CDL. And so I feel like right now is a great time for me to revisit that subject, for me to do another video on the subject of whether I think becoming a truck driver is still a solid career choice. I got my CDL 5 years ago. I went to truck driving school on the weekends because I had a regular job that I was working during the week. I went on the weekends for 2 months. The approximate cost of my CDL school was right around $6,000. And right after I got out of CDL school, I started working for a family member. I started working for my dad. So when I refer to myself as a company driver, that is what I'm talking about. That's the only that's the only company that I've driven for is my dad. So for the first 5 years of me being a truck driver, to be honest with you, I didn't make much money. I wasn't making much money, but I was learning and I was being taught essentially how to make moves in trucking on my own. And I just bought my own truck April 2021, exactly 5 years after I got my CDL, after I first got started in trucking. The reason I'm sharing that brief story with you, a couple reasons. One, the first thing is that is not an abnormal story. You could stop virtually any owner-operator on the road and he'll tell you, yeah, I was a company driver for a year, for 6 months, for 2 years, for 3 years before I got my own truck. So when I say I got my own truck in 5 years, that's not anything special. But I am sitting here right now just kind of thinking about the freedom, or reflecting on the freedom that getting my own truck is allowing me. Normally what I would do is I would be working during the daytime, and I normally do 2 runs per day, about 450 miles per day. But right now I'm going to a place, well, just to keep the story short and sweet, I'm able right now to work during the middle of the night because of the places that I'm going to, which I actually enjoy. I like the fact that I have the freedom to be able to do that right now. Obviously there's less cops on the road at night, but there's also a lot less traffic on the road at night as well. And so just kind of getting ready to wrap up my day. It's 6:10 in the morning right now, and I've already done my runs for this day. Normally I'd be finishing with this day at about 3 o'clock in the evening, but because I'm working in the middle of the night now, and that's my choice, I can still work in the daytime if I want to. But again, I'm kind of enjoying being able to work at night right now. So just sitting here kind of reflecting on the fact that I have that freedom is kind of what made me want to do a 5-year review. That's kind of what made me start thinking about what getting my CDL has enabled me to do in the last 5 years. In addition to that, like this first year, the first calendar year of me having my own truck, which I'm still in the process of right now, my first calendar year, I'm gonna gross, according to what I'm doing right now, I'm gonna gross between 200 and 250. Now, I'm sharing that with you just basically just so you'll understand what getting my CDL has done for me. That is not an abnormal story. You can stop any owner-operator on the road that'll tell you that their first year in trucking, they gross 300, they gross 400, they gross 500. So the time that it took me to become an owner-operator is nothing special, and the amount of money that becoming an owner-operator has enabled me to make is nothing special. But when I compare how long it took me to get my CDL, what it cost me to get my CDL, and what getting my CDL has enabled me and empowered me to do, and I contrast that with what happens to a lot of people that spend money on a college education, on a university education, to get a degree, and then 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or even 10 years later, they're actually still in debt from getting that degree, and they may not even be working in the field that they paid all that money to get that degree in. So I'm glad I made the decision to get a CDL in 2016, but I still believe that right now in 2021, it's a golden time from what I can see right now to get started as a trucker, to have your CDL, to get your CDL, for several reasons. One being, like everything that I see, all signs that I see right now say that there's much more freight out here to be moved than there are drivers to move it. And that's company drivers or trucks for hire. Like Class A and Class B CDL holders, as a result of that, are in extremely high demand right now. Now, I'm leaving out Class C CDL drivers, and I'm not sure about this, but I'm leaving them out because I would think that if right now we're still kind of in the pandemic and people are still a little bit leery about traveling together and being together in groups, when I'm talking about Class C, I'm referring to a commercial driver's license holder that is in the industry of transporting passengers. Those CDL holders, their skills may not be in high demand right now. If I'm wrong about that, feel free to let me know down in the comments. But all signs point to Class A and Class B CDL holders being in high demand right now, specifically those with good MVRs. So in my opinion, it's a golden time to get your CDL and get started in trucking right now. In addition to that, next year, February 2022, February 7th, I believe, the EDLT program is supposed to start. I believe that's what it is referred to as. And that basically says that, that's the thing with the federal standards, the federal minimum training standards having to be instituted federally. So it's across the board. So like in Virginia, as far as I know, as of right now, you still don't actually have to go to CDL school to be able to get a CDL. But come February 7th, 2022, no matter where you are, you'll have to go to a school to get your CDL. That's not a bad thing. I don't think that's going to make it any harder for you, the individual, to get a CDL. But I do believe that that's going to make the process of bringing new CDL drivers into the industry, that's going to make that process more cumbersome. That's going to exacerbate the driver shortage, which means that Class A and Class B CDL holders that have good driving records are going to be even more so in high demand. I don't know this for sure. This is just kind of what my thoughts are on this subject. I know that driverless trucks are coming. There's a big push for that. There's a lot of money being put behind that. I don't think it's a matter of whether they're coming or not. I think it's a matter of to what extent they're going to render the actual truck driver obsolete. From what I know about that, and again, if I'm wrong about this, feel free to correct me down in the comments. But from what I know about that, not only does that technology have to still be perfected for it to happen, but from what I understand, like driverless trucks are still going to need drivers in them for a while. So I'm not really sure how that's going to work from the economics side of things. If the cost of my operation is supposed to go down as a result of me getting self or driverless trucks, if that's what's supposed to happen, but I still got to buy these trucks and pay a driver, I'm just not sure how all that works out. I'm sure that's not a big thing, but I guess what I'm saying is not only does the technology have to be perfected, but the economics behind it have to work as well. And then again, I believe it's going to be a while before that technology literally renders the CDL holder, the individual truck driver, useless. I guess what I'm saying is even with driverless trucks coming to the industry, I still believe that it's a great time to get your CDL and get started in trucking right now. Again, if you listen at old timers, it's easy to come away with the idea that it may not be a good time to get started in trucking right now, because a lot of them will tell you that it's not as much money in trucking as it used to be, and it's a lot more difficult to get around and move around and make money out here right now as a company driver or as an owner operator. And that may be true. I've only been driving for 5 years. I don't have that 20 years of experience to reflect on, but based on my experience in trucking, what getting a CDL has empowered me to do, and what I see others that I know and associate with, what I've seen trucking empower them to be able to do in their lives, it still seems to me right now that irregardless of all of the factors that's going on in trucking and moving freight around the country, it still seems that trucking is a great career. It's a solid career choice. It definitely still seems to be. I would say all industries right now are volatile and susceptible to the changes that technology are bringing about. But like when you think about freight moving, the demand for freight to be moved is higher now than it's ever been before. And so, like, if there's any career that you're looking at right now, there's a lot of careers that you can get in, obviously, that could offer you more opportunity than trucking. But the choices that having a CDL can give you, there's a lot of choices that you have once you get your CDL. There's changes coming. There's a lot of things that could happen. There's a lot of unknowns, but in my opinion, from what I can see, regardless of all that, it's a golden time to have a CDL right now, to get a CDL right now, and to have a CDL right now.
Maurice Bay, the Helpful Trucker here. For more helpful CDL tips, go here or consider subscribing to my YouTube channel right here. You could have been anywhere else in the world, but instead you chose to be here with me, and I really appreciate that.